Happy Saturday, everyone. DQ Debrief, episode 9, coming at ya. But my guest is in the Amazon, so I'm super excited. And Jazz's time zone, I think it was more applicable for me to adjust, so I can be flexible. So I hope everyone's enjoying their Saturday. I know some of you are all over the world, so it could be evening for you, afternoon for you, morning for me. But yeah, I am waiting for my guest. And so DQ Debrief is a show where I spotlight folks that have dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. So most of the episodes so far, so this is episode 9, has been focused on dyslexia stories. And so last week I had a reschedule, and this was the first professional edition, and that was episode 5 rescheduled. And that was with a nonprofit teaching my kid to read. And their mission is awesome, and they really push for getting structured literacy and decodable books, an understanding of structured literacy and decodable books into libraries, local libraries. So yeah, you can access all of these episodes on the Think Dyslexia app. There's free content there for you. Every DQ Debrief episode is there except for episode 5, because I have to upload that, and obviously this will be on a week later because my videographer has to edit. And you can access interviews that I've done with other folks in the field from my YouTube channel, and also podcast interviews as well that I've done. So yeah, definitely download the Think Dyslexia app, and there's some free presentations on there. So I also have group coaching programs. So some moms that are in this chat right now, if you're interested in group coaching, I have a group coaching round 2 starting on Monday. So if you're interested, please shoot me a DM. And I also have private coaching as well. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone on there. There's free stuff, there's low ticket stuff, there's coaching, there's private coaching, and a whole bunch of good stuff. Yes! Hey, how are you?
Hello. Sorry, can you see me?
I can see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So how are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was worrying because here we have a bit of storm sometimes, and then the internet connection falls. But now it seems a bit is working. Hello, yes. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon for you. So Jazz, I am so excited to hear about your story. But first things first, your Instagram account says you're a movie character or a producer. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do first before we delve into your dyslexia story?
Yes, sure. I put on my Instagram like a character more because I consider a bit almost a film what I live here. And so it's more like a joke, no? But yes, I graduated in communication, and then I started to study cinema production executives, and then I moved to Italy to study more around this theme, and then there I started to study all the technique parts of producing movies and videos and websites and all the communication technologies and robotics. So there I could learn all these technical parts. And then after that I initiate what I'm doing now, that is a master in partnership, shamanism, and traditional cultures that matches a bit on what I had studied and what I live, my culture too.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So thank you for clarifying the movie character part, because I was like, oh, this is so cool. Everything you said is awesome as well, because I love hearing what dyslexics do, as their livelihood. And so that actually transitions me into, I just really am interested to hear, first of all, you grew up in Brazil, correct? Can you hear me, Jazz?
Yes, now it's back, but before
Okay.
it jumped a bit.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
said, you grew up in Brazil, correct?
Yes, I grew up in Brazil. Yes,
So you speak
I grew up here.
Portuguese and English? How many other languages do you speak?
Yes, I speak Portuguese, English, a bit of Spanish. I'm very fluent in Italian too, and a bit of French too. So
Wow. Okay, so for me, as the dyslexia specialist, I'm very curious to know what's your story and like was it difficult learning all of those languages? I'm gonna open up the floor. Where do you want to start? What is your dyslexia story?
yeah, well, it actually is a very recent discovery in my life because here in Brazil, dyslexia is not something that people know. It's not something that the health, how can I say, public health talk about. So it's something that is still nowadays very unknown. And then when I moved to it, first I had the barrier of the language, right? I have a lot of difficulties with the language. Is a completely different way to speak to me as an Italian language. In Portuguese, I have in my accent many, how can I say, phonemas that in Italian you don't say, and in Italian and vice versa. So I had to really train it like and do something like this to started to learn how to speak like perché, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
Because me, I speak in my language perché. The R
Okay.
is open, is ah. So many other details and the learning thing too. So I started to realize there that there was something very different in me. Very, I felt very, how can I say, out of the place. You know?
Right.
There was something that he was not working. And that was hurting me so much because I love to study, even if I have difficulties with this, but I'm a very curious person. So I do therapy. So I started to talk about this with her, but she would say, no, don't worry about that. I think it's because of the culture. The culture is too different, this and that. And then once I went out with a friend of mine, very dear friend, that she was talking to me about her son that have some problems in school. And then arrived a dear friend of her, and she said, don't worry, this is dyslexia. You don't know about this? I have 2 kids. I have grown up then with dyslexia, and they are great. They are now, one is starting the university, the other is finishing school. So your kid is gonna be fine. And my friend said, but what is it? How is that? And she started to say how is dyslexia and what it is. And I was first on the table, just listen to the mothers talk, you know. I'm not a mother, so I'm not gonna say my opinion.
Right.
And when I have that, I definitely have that. I grow up with, she started to say all the typical points, and I say, oh my God, I have that. I got this, and I check all list. And the next day was my therapy session, and I went there and talked to my therapist and said, hey, I think I am dyslexic. Can we do a test? Can we research about it? And she said, yeah, sure, let's do it right now. And she did it to me. And we discovered that I have very, how can I say, grade of dyslexia that is high, because it affects not even how I read and how I write and how I learn, but affects also how I hear things,
Right.
and how I understand those things too, and the dyscalculia, so all the levels.
Oh,
I get out of there with all the levels, and I was like, okay, now that I know this, what can I do?
Right.
So, and I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about. And I said, should I do any therapy specifically for this? What should I do? How can I recuperate?
Right.
And she said, look, let me tell you something. I get emotional when I remember this. She said, you are dyslexic in a very high level, let's say like this. All the therapies that you could have done, you have did already to yourself. You have chosen the most difficult career and argument to study for you, that is communication.
Right.
As a therapist, I'm gonna tell you, this is the only profession you should not choose. And you have chosen it. So the university was a therapy for you. Have grown up studying theater, studying cinema, studying dance, studying all the arts that you have studied, and all the graduations and everything you have done were your therapy, because you never gave up. You put your energy on this, and you went further than what is expected to somebody who have this condition. So life is perfect. You have already done what you could do. Now, what you could do is to accept that for you, and you're gonna perceive on your day by day what is dyslexia. And you're gonna feel better that it is not that you're wrong, it's not that you don't work, it's not that you are dumb or something like that. I'm sorry for the emotion, but
No, please.
And after that, Dr. Laurie was a liberation.
Yeah.
It was a deep healing to me, because I understood it was, I always said that to me, discover that I am dyslexic was to reveal the puzzle of my life.
Right.
Because my life before was like a puzzle, but there was a puzzle that was turned down, the picture of the puzzle. So it was possible to me to put the pieces together in a puzzle that you can see the image.
Right.
But after that, look like I put up all the images, and I could see all the pieces where they were to fix it and where to, and that was a huge liberation to me. I feel very, very grateful for that.
Jazz, your story is beautiful. I think, well, first of all, so you were diagnosed as an adult? So,
yes.
And I feel like I have had guests who've shared their stories and they were diagnosed as an adult, and some of it was shame, like, now I know what was wrong with me, but then it was that, like, now what do I do? Now what happens? But for you, your therapist is absolutely right. You chose a career that actually was pretty challenging for you when you didn't know that you were dyslexic, and communication is huge. So, in how you interact with people, how you interpret language, you speaking 5 different languages. I mean, your story is amazing. And I want to say thank you so much for your vulnerability and getting on this platform to share your story with others, because this is what moves the needle. We need people to hear these stories globally, to know that you're not suffering alone. There is something, there is a diagnosis, there is help, there are resources. And I just think, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this space. That is so important, Dr. Lauren. Your work is super important for us and to the world. We need this space to talk about it. We need this space to share that it's possible to be whatever you want to be. Whatever you want to be. Is the only thing is that it's not gonna be a regular path,
right?
But it's gonna be your.
It's gonna
be your.
Yes.
Yes, and more you start to accept and to research and to talk about it. You understand all the techniques you have been using through the years, or that you can use in the next years, to have more quality of life,
right?
To have more quality of communication, have a preparation, have a routine. All of these is very important. I don't know what could I do without the techniques I have in my mind, that I have developed all those years, and maps. To me, I always have been a lover of maps. I collection maps, but I never understood where it came from. Then I discovered that it have a lot to do with dyslexia, because it's all maps, mind maps. And
I love that.
I think.
So, Jazz, how do you set accommodations for yourself in your place of work? Like, for example, I know I've spoken to some adult dyslexics who really push for letting their bosses know they're dyslexic. Do your coworkers and people you work with, do they know you're dyslexic?
Now they are.
Okay.
Now they all know. But they didn't. I never, after I discovered that, I didn't use it any, let's say, advantage of it. Or even on my university, I decided to this course finish as I have started, because I have passed through 3 universities before. I always have challenging myself to go after all the how can I say, the dates that you have to how can I say, the deadlines,
right,
of everybody. I always try to accompany, and it was a challenge to me. And I say at first, I have done all those years without any help of this kind. I'm gonna try to stick on it and try continue doing as I done before with my techniques of study, and I'm gonna do what I can.
Right.
And that was another liberation that I was needing, because I always have been someone very, very rigid with the excellence of my study and my time and everything. And I say, you know what? I don't need that anymore. I can do things on my time and it will still be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the theme of your story, Jazz, is liberation. You know, once you found out this is how my brain works, this is my life was exactly the way it's supposed to go. And I think that's what I want people to realize. I saw someone said, thank you so much for sharing your story. Hearing the adult perspective is valuable. It's not a death sentence. It's actually something that is beautiful if you know how your brain works, because you have strengths that other people don't have because you have a dyslexic mind. And it's just, you know, bringing this to the Amazon, to Brazil, to all these other places where, as you said, in Brazilian culture and schools, they don't talk about dyslexia. Well, now we're talking about it, and now we're sharing your story. And those of you who are here, share this story. Share this on your story pages. You know, drop this IGTV in people's DMs. People need to hear this because it's important. You have a voice.
Thank you. Yes, I found my voice after I found dyslexia. And what I would love to share with you was on my mind now. What it was? You asked me about my coworkers and this and how is for work. To say to you an example, how our body is perfect, how our mind is perfect, with independently of conditions, independently of anything, is perfect how it is. Because my second graduation was executive producer on cinema and television. Executive producing is a work that all you have to be good at is organization of information.
Wow.
So maths and numbers and organization and plans and everything, and that create a whole store in my mind of how to do this with all the rest of information of my life, to deal better with all the flux of information I need to deal continually, working with communication. So it's very, very important to people to go to a professional and be sure of the results, be sure of the path you can do, but mainly try to understand for you, then explain to somebody, because many people I tell, I have dyslexia, and I don't know if you know, it's a condition, this and that. And the person say to me, I got this a bit.
Right.
I think I have this a bit too. Sometimes I have it. And I say, yeah, well, but me is not sometimes, you know, I'm 24/7, right?
Right. No.
So,
Jazz, I'm am so just in awe of you as a person. I mean, we met obviously on Instagram, and I was very drawn to your account, and I really was so interested in your story. And I have to say, so we're coming to the end of our time, and I have to say that this was such an emotional, a positively emotional interview, and I can't thank you enough for your vulnerability. And I know that there are so many folks who were here live listening to that, and so many folks who will be listening to this beyond. And I just implore everyone to share their story. Share their story. Don't feel ashamed. Know that there's support. Know that there's help. Reach out. There's a community out there. And this is really the work that I was called to do. You know, I am not dyslexic myself. I am neurodiverse, and I have struggled in school and have ADHD. But this is something that I just feel very passionate about. And so, Jazz, I thank you so much for your time, and everyone who has popped into this live. Thank you so much for your engagement, for your attentive ear. Yes. And so please be sure to share the story. This will be on my page for a little bit, and then I usually take them down because I want everything in my Think Dyslexia app. So as I stated before, Jazz, before you logged on, I was telling everyone I have a Think Dyslexia app, and all my DQ Debrief episodes are there. I have the podcast interviews. I have YouTube channel interviews. So be sure to download the app in the Google Play Store and the App Store and become a member. And I also have coaching programs too if you're interested. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And Jazz, we will be in touch.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lauren. Thank you so much again for this space. Compliments for your work, compliments for your research, and all the effort you put on this argument. We need more of it. We need to be united. We need to be connected. So count on me on anything you need, and I'm sure we can create something very interesting and creative to this role, to connect ourselves and spread the healing.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
The healing in a way that I mean, the heal is, there's no healing to dyslexia, but the healing of the person that will struggle with that so many times, you know, for so long. That kind of healing. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
Jazz.
send you a big hug.
Oh.
Big hug from Amazon. And I'll share the place where I am.
So beautiful. Look at that. That is beautiful. Wow. That's breathtaking. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lauren.
Thank you, Jazz. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.